falling.
So when sun shines, we watch the plains.
And finest grapes hang from the vine.
So let's drink on, and when it rains,
we'll measure rain as pints of wine.
So, when sun shines, we watch the plains.
And finest grapes hang off the vine.
So let's drink on, and when it rains,
we'll measure rain as pints of wine.
We'll measure rain as pints of wine. We'll measure rain as pints of 5:15 p.m.
And the river gurgles like a baby in a timeless town.
Where people feast on fish fingers, collect points on Tesco club cards.
Kept in wallets bulging with dreams.
And 2-for-1 vouchers from theme parks and chain stores.
Here, in buckling down to dark December,
the sky starless and wheelie bin black.
Julie is mashing tea and pikelets.
At work, Keith rinses out his brushes, turns off the radio,
zips up another day into his padded jacket,
and thinks about driving home to his Julie.
5:29 p.m.
December the 4th, 2015. This evening's weather forecast. The Met Office has issued
an amber warning for rain on Saturday and Sunday.
Those in cars, officers at home on sofas
will mostly remain dry and brittle as usual.
But exceptional moisture
may well snake its liquid, slippery and many-fingered ways
up walls,
through gaps,
down chimneys,
over last year's flood defences.
And your dry lives may be seriously interrupted. The Met Office recommend that you reflect on the words sponge,
umbrella,
bucket,
Noah. Raining? Oh, technology, eh? Keith will be home soon. Said he'd be early tonight. Always says that. There are a couple of pubs on the way home, so... And that feels like rain. Oh, but apparently not raining now. Technology.
Oh, Cumbria. The boss hears a weather forecast. She sends me here.
I can't recommend you for promotion until you've got some experience of a real storm.
As of yet, no storm. Look at these. 1818, Southall, the Great Storm of 1703, the Diary of Mary Elizabeth King. This one's good. Date of event, 1171. The wind blew with such violence that the shores of South Wales were completely denuded of sand. The seashore took on the appearance of a forest grove cut down at the time of the flood. Conger eels and other fish were driven up onto high rocks. That's the earliest. Oh, this one's good. 1736, King's Lynn. A great rot made sad havoc among sheep. Horses had the great and watery swellings. Pigs, rabbits, and deer were many of them washed away through too much wet and died rotten. Storm officer. Anyway, better get on. Oh, Cumbria. It's not exactly Wall Street, is it? 7:13 p.m.
2 minutes of the archers remaining.
And in our tired town, at the end of the A591...
Worried eyes look out of windows at
bloody awful weather.
Near the fire station, curled like a cat in a red plush settee.
Jolly Jill. Still single, but still jolly. Hovering over weary.
Lifts her third glass, sends a text to Prosecco Jane.
Jane, have you seen weather? Remember Flood Buddy's promise? What are you doing tonight? Are you free? Lol.
Anne, the local poet, forever searching for the right word.
Choose a yellow pencil.
Excited by the heavy rain.
And its potential vocabulary.
Luttering.
Buffeting.
Bathing.
Spluttering.
Mizzling.
Drumming.
Come on now, Anne. Everyone's worried. Clouds coming. Wrinkled clouds. Cloud chariots gathering. Poetic. Cloud like angry Mickey Mouse. Cloud like a crocodile hiding in a river of clouds. Too obvious. Clouds kettled together as if there might be a riot. The sky is fat like a sumo wrestler. Yes. My friend Jean says, make it strange, Anne. Make it strange, but make it real. Ugh, it's all rather confusing.
It looks like there's going to be a storm after all. Extreme weather in the UK, 2010 to 2015, by me. Last week, finished. But now, new chapter, storm, Desmond. Plus,
you need to understand the effect on the community.
Understand effect on community? The Minsterly flood, 1811. And Mr. Highway's, the current burst into his house until the walls gave way. And Mr. Highway's venerable grandmother, aged 83, with 2 female servants, were hurried into the abyss. Mr. Highway himself clung to a pole. There you go. Effect on community. Christ. Requires attention. Community. It's not gonna be that bad, love. Don't panic. Let's watch Gogglebox.
But what if it is, Keith? What about Maggie? What about Jean's mum? She couldn't get insurance after last time, and she's been ill.
Look, love, it's raining, not flooding. You know what I said? It won't flood a third time. It can't.
What about Dorothy and all them in Riverview? How are they going to get out? Some of them are in wheelchairs.
Julie! Look, shall we go and see that lady in a van film tomorrow? Old woman who lives in a camper van, like the one we're going to get, love. Happen we'll pick up some tips.
8:35 p.m.
Jolly Jill.
And Prosecco Jane.
In snazzy Wellington boots. Start their flood routine.
Small electrical goods, blender, toaster, kettle, on top of table.
All perishables into the high cupboards.
Once you put everything on top of the table, which table by means of a broom to the ceiling.
Otherwise, when the water rises, the table can just tip over. Turn off the electrics.
Build a bridge with the settee on top of the armchairs.
Telly upstairs.
Watch from the window as the water
Comes up and up and up. My partner is due with our baby soon, and we still haven't thought of a name yet. tempest, I'm thinking. Now, emergency strategy. Community. Outcome required. Community to remain cheerful. Town optimism officer required. For small flood-prone town. Must have good sense of humour.
Ooh!
With thousands of people displaced and in acute difficulties, what would your optimism messages to the community be?
A press release, including the phrases, a fresh start, remember the Dunkirk spirit, and this emergency will bring the community together.
Key bridges have been swept away. How would you create an optimistic message for that scenario?
44 bridges swept away. Oh, this month, Cumbria District Council are pleased to launch our new and delightful scenic routes. Jane. They call me Prosecco Jane.
You're hired. Now, outcome needed. Community to express itself. Town creative required. An experience in well-being and mindfulness an advantage.
Ooh.
What is your main creative form of expression, and how would it help the people who are suffering the problems of flooding?
I believe passionately that people need to express their worries and their fears. I would love to write poems and to help people to write their own.
Could you give an example or two?
Yes, of course. Why are we naming storms? Because as the weather warms, we want storms to be our friends, as they visit us more and more. Why are we naming storms? Because we help to make these clouds, and we name them because they are our beautiful children. Well, I write funny verse too. This was the last flood. We're not sure who is to blame. The mountains, the people, the rain. But when waters are rising, it's not that surprising. Some people are moving to Spain. Anne, the local poet.
You're hired.
9:36 p.m.
I'm taking bread and cheese up to bedroom, love.
Don't forget the Tommies!
And Prosecco Jane says,
Do you think this is going to get worse, Jill?
not the least likelihood of the weather altering.
Not the least likelihood of the weather altering.
Not the least likelihood of the weather altering.
Well, who is this storm officer? Who decided this? I mean, another flood and we've got an optimism officer, a town creative and a storm officer, for God's sake. Oh, and now he started sending us flood bulletins.
Flood bulletin. Storm Desmond. An atmospheric river of moist air from the Caribbean, bringing to Northern Europe record amounts of orographic rainfall. Storm officer.
Orographic rainfall? Who are you kidding? Heavy rain. Raining stair rods, weather for ducks. Raining like a cow pissing. Are you still watching Gogglebox, love?
Yeah.
Tell you what, it's coming over them gutters like a cow pissing.
Right.
Me, the town creative. I know it sounds insensitive, but floods, what a wonderful metaphor. It rains, downwards, a wonderful weight of water. Prospero and Ariel arrive, Hammer horror style, in a clatter of coach rattle and horse hoof at the Tourist Information Centre. A bit strange. It needs to be more realistic. I ought to go into town and help now, really, but... Oh. Right now, our lives are changing. Farmers, newsagents, bed and breakfast owners, everyone knows this next year is going to be harder as from this very minute. Honest? Not very poetic. We're going to need humour. The first flood we managed with cheer. The second we all said, oh dear. Now we're all a bit stuck, but we don't give up. No, that won't do at all. 11:24 p.m.
I'm going to bed, Julie. Do you want any of this cheese or what?
All right, love, just save me some gorgonzola, will ya? Oh, there's someone at the door. I'll get it. Hey up, Charlie.
Hey up, Julie. Have you seen? It's going like a fountain in the subway.
Oh dear, it's Charlene, love. She says it's coming down the subway.
No thanks, love. I don't want a subway. I've got all this cheese.
No, not a subway. It's coming down the subway.
Though I do like subways.
What can you do, eh? Charlie.
Oh, I don't want a subway. What's he like?
Thanks anyway, love. You better get home to them kids.
Ooh, nice one, Julie. I'll text you later.
Bye. 11:46 p.m. And Jolly Jill says,
It would have to be biblical to reach us.
it would have to be biblical to reach us.
It would have to be biblical to reach us. They go to bed like King Canute, with a paper and a cup of tea. Pull the duvet over their heads. It won't reach this street. It won't touch me. People say that King Canute was trying to stop the tide coming. He set his throne upon the beach to show the court the weakness of a king. I might be king, I might have power, I might seem to rule this land. But look, waves wash my robes and feet. This solid world is made of sand. If King Canute were here today, he would build a concrete wall. We'd watch it fall, see how the seas and how white horses conquer all, and how white horses conquer all. I put my dressing gown on for bed, wear my robes to greet the seas. How worthless is the power of kings as the waters lap our knees.
12:15 a.m.
A river runs down the A591.
Strips of tarmac lift like lino.
A landslide blocks Steve Coogan in his 4x4.
Steve Coogan trapped. Helicopter rescue required. Keith sits up in bed, rehearses in the neat ledger of his mind. their latest insurance claim.
2 packets of frozen peas, 1 toaster, Argos, 1 George Foreman toasted cheese sandwich maker, 1 fridge freezer.
I put the chicken on top of the shelves, love. It might be a long night.
Right.
Oh.
1 food processor, 2 box of fish.
Flood bulletin. Louth. Rebuilding Louth after the terrible flood of 1920 cost £1 million sterling. Be grateful for any help you can get. The storm officer. What? Well, that's all we need. Little bits of friggin' advice.
Right. 2 pairs of cycling gloves, 1 can of engine oil, and 1 Haynes manual for a VW camper van. 1, 2, 3. Mr. and Mrs. McNamee. Reasons for the flood.
Number 5. These hills used to be covered in trees, sucking up the rain through their root systems.
Number 8. They've kept Thirlmere Reservoir too high for years.
1:25 a.m.
On Main Street, floating out of the wool shop,
Multicoloured balls of wool.
unravel around lampposts, benches, abandoned bicycles.
Charlene says she's got to get out. It's up to the light switches already.
Right.
Oh, I might have to go over there, Keith. I don't know how she's going to cope with them kids.
Right.
Flood bulletin. Borth, 1877. Men with a mixture of amusement and anxiety are trying to sweep the Atlantic out of their houses. There is a grim humour about the vagaries of the sea. Keep a sense of humour. This is not a tsunami. The storm officer. Jesus! 1, 2, 3.
Mr. and Mrs. McNamee. Reasons for the flood.
Number 10. For tourism, we need lovely old bridges, winding roads, dry stone walls, etc. But they're not built to cope with the weather.
Number 32. Tonight we are witnessing a biblical deluge arising from the wrath of God. Julie, where's radiator gone? It's underwater.
We'll see if top oven's still working, love. They'll be hungry over at Charlene's.
Keith wades into the kitchen up to his waist in water, puts a chicken in the top oven.
Flood bulletin. The Minsterley flood, 1811. Mr. Bennett got into a hayloft, but the building was swept away. The water was over 20 foot deep. The noise of the current inconceivably dreadful, and the cries, "Help! Help! Drowning!" contributed to the horror. Count your blessings, the storm officer. Right, I'm texting Storm Officer Keith.
Right.
If he's not down in Main Street in 10 minutes, then I'm going to his office.
Right.
I'm going to see what I can do in town.
Right.
Oh, dear. Now what? From the town optimism officer. Dear resident, the current excess of water will prove to be an excellent way of getting rid of the town's rubbish. What? Oh!
2:14 a.m.
In Riverview Old People's Home, Daisy Edwards, a retired head teacher,
On cocktails of medication for pain relief and insomnia,
and her friend Dorothy, the retired midwife,
are being winched from their first floor bedrooms by helicopter. Oh, hold on to your handbag, Daisy. Are you all right?
Oh, I think I'm coming on, Dog!
Oh.
Hold on to your hat, Dorothy!
Oh, Daisy! While their bridge companion, Glynis, recently deposited on the street, left to fend for herself, aged 83.
Rain running down her back.
Sits on a wet bench, shivering.
Are you the storm officer?
I am indeed. Is there anything I can help you with?
Well, you better get stuck in. Can't you see what's happening out there, right under your nose? Those flood bulletins, they're ridiculous.
But it's the bigger picture. People always think worst weather ever. Why, John Harrison in 1740 said, "Never known in the memory of man."
Ah, well, this isn't the time to talk about this, but I'll be coming to see you again. Don't worry.
3:17 a.m.
40 cows are carried downstream in the River Eden.
The wool from the wool shop clogs up the propellers on the lifeboats.
Which drift, powerless, useless. Julian Keith's wedding album is tossed about in a torrent of the river.
Soon to lie at the bottom of the North Sea, where fish will ignore it forever.
8 caravans in full spate smash through a steel footbridge.
A cascading mountain stream.
Rips open riverbanks, throws rocks into the car park. Oh, they say it's just one stretch of lake now, all the way from Thirlmere to Cockermouth.
Oh, stop crying, love. You're adding to the floodwater.
40 beer barrels are swept past the newsagents.
And through the streets.
Ankle deep, waist deep in wellies, in waders.
People lug TVs.
And essentials.
Knickers, toothbrushes, passports.
Hastily thrown into bin bags.
Like nighttime refugees.
5:34 a.m.
Keith, up to his waist in cold, black water, stands in his sitting room and weeps. Stands in his sitting room and weeps. The world is returning to water. Yippee-do, yippee-do. The world is returning to water. As we all know, we might as well say, oh well. Now trout swim through Trout Hotel. The world is returning to water. H2O. H2O. The world is returning to water. Yippee-do, yippee-do. The world is returning to water. As we all know, we might as well say, oh well. Now trout swim through Trout Hotel, and the world is returning to water. H2O. The sea is rising slowly. Yippee-day, yippee-day. The sea is rising slowly every day. But there are things to raise a smile. They'll be surfing in Carlisle, and we'll be able to go for a swim every day. Every day. The rivers are rushing in like loud applause, loud applause. The rivers are rushing in with loud roars, loud roars. But we're working on some pills to help develop human gills. The rivers are rushing into our doors, through our doors. So underwater houses will be okay. We'll be okay. The world is returning to water. Yippee-do, yippee-do. The world is returning to water. As we all know, we might as well say, oh well. Now trout swim through Trout Hotel. The world is returning to water. H2O. H2O. 2 weeks later.
All you want is a good meal sometimes. Meat, 2 veg and proper gravy. Like Keith says it every day.
All I want is a good dinner with proper gravy and peas.
And there's no peas. You get like that after a bit. The little things get you, I don't know why. And peas? We just can't get them. There's been no frozen peas around here for a fortnight now. To be honest, it's been no nothing around here. On the 11th day of Christmas, my insurer did agree.
11 bags of compost, 10 bags of peanuts,
9 spotted cushions, 8 feather dusters,
7 packs of butter,
6 pairs of knickers,
5 toilet rolls, 4 single beds, 3 sliced loaves, 2 bags of peas, and a cooker and a TV.
But on the 12th day of Christmas, my insurer said to me,
We're very sorry we made a mistake. We sent a letter, it was not right. We have just seen your paperwork, shows that you have no claim at all. We're wishing you Happy Christmas on a shoestring and a partridge in a pear tree. I spent ages trying to sort it out. They're having us on, Julie. We haven't even got a toaster. Council website says contact storm officer. And he's gone home for Christmas, of course.
I think this one's finally finished. The first flood we managed with cheer. The second we all said, oh dear. But the third was the worst. Now we think we are cursed. So don't mention the F word round here. I don't think I can do limericks anymore. Things I've seen in the past few weeks. January.
In Derby, in November 1662, a dreadful whirlwind, with great flashes of fire, and some do affirm that it rained blood. It's not true, but it's memorable.
Great flashes of fire. Lot more interesting than victims or disaster, isn't it? We're out of our homes. Mud still needs clearing, mountains of it, and you're on this.
I know, but it's important. In Wropsley, 1878, while the thunder was very heavy, a fireball fell down a chimney, went out of the door and into the street. It killed a dog and hurt the leg of a man. You see, it's a total invention, but it's memorable.
Yeah, dead interesting. Cartoon weather. Look, my insurance are kicking off and you're on this tuppeny nonsense. Do you even remember who I am?
Did we meet?
On flood night, I'm Julie.
Oh, yeah, you know Anne, don't you? Our town creative. She's leading a writing workshop soon. Writing and mindfulness.
Mindfulness? I bloody mind. You lot minding our business. Natural England Environment Agency, heritage people swarming all over. What I want to know is, can you help? I mean, our policy is invalid.
Of course. I'll put you on my requires attention list. See? Julie Shaw.
Right.
Actually, Julie, there is something I need help with. I need to collect recordings of people talking about the floods. Community speaks. First-hand accounts of flood night, the effects on the...
I'll get your recordings. You might even learn something. I'll get those if you sort our insurance.
Great. Thank you. Now, I have to go home next week. My partner's due with our baby soon. But I will be back.
Partner, is it? Well, good luck to her. She'll soon be on your urgently requires attention list, I can tell you that for now. From the town optimism officer. Dear resident, the silt covering your gardens is historically and geographically very interesting, as it is in fact glacial deposits.
In our flooded town, shops and offices are closed.
With optimistic notices on the doors.
Reopening for business shortly.
Except the big chain stores, of course, which put big money into fast recovery.
And everywhere we walk, night and day,
we are serenaded from behind damp walls by
the endless choir of the dehumidifiers.
Cumbrian flood fact sheet. Victims of flooding may experience nightmares and flashbacks. Please do not hesitate to contact your GP.
Want to escape the tensions of a flooded home or business? Free Reiki sessions available on Saturdays.
Calm the mind. Flood victims are welcome at U3A Meditation Centre, Mondays, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. February.
My little girl, Abigail. Oh, what a sweetie. Oh. Right. Well, let's see what Julia's come up with.
We had a Himalayan river at the front of the house and a Himalayan river at the back. I can still hear them. But we were the only street whose houses didn't get flooded. I still feel guilty when I walk through the village.
The park was knackered. It was like the North Sea. When water went down, the whole park was covered in sand dunes of black silt. It was weird. Looked like the moon.
For my Christmas dinner, I had a slice of gingerbread. The carpets in my house are still wet through. There's mould everywhere.
We had the army here for Christmas Day, marching up and down in case of rain. We didn't get out to the family till mid-February.
If your property is worth nothing, you can't pass it on to your family. And you can't pay for care in old age. So a day of rain can affect generations.
Am I the only one?
We'll see. It doesn't matter, Keith. I'm so glad you've come. Would you like a biscuit?
No thanks, love. Ginger nuts! Oh, how come? Oh, tar. Oh, no, I didn't know what to write. The flyer said to write about something that bothers you, so I was going to write about Julie. But then, I got thinking about what Myther's hurt at the moment. All them reports and experts. You can't move the salmon and you're interfering with natural cycles.
Well, that sounds lovely, Keith. Would you like to read it to me?
No, it's not really. I wish I'd gone fishing this morning, to be honest. I thought there were more coming.
Well, Keith, just read it to me. Yes?
Okay. So, I've called it The Experts.
Right.
We are the experts. We have headed paper with expensive logos. We wear high-vis jackets so you know that we know. We have made calculations. We have made decisions. Hydrologists, climatologists, cosmologists, ecologists, geomorphologists, zoologists. You cannot keep the carpets. You cannot move the salmon. You can't change the speed bumps. No, I'm sorry, you can't do that. See, we are the experts and you don't understand.
But Keith, that's fabulous.
Julie said I should send it to Storm Officer. Are you a friend of his?
Oh, I like him. Those text bulletins, they've got interesting language.
Julie said you'd bang on about language. But those text bulletins, they don't show what it would really like. It's all just fancy words.
Well, no one really understands unless they're there.
Yeah, that's why telly's crap. It's all drama and flood night, and then they've gone. Vanished. Forgotten. The real effects are now. And for kids.
As my poet friend says, real is real. Words just try to make sense of it.
Pies is only pies, but gravy's gravy.
Right. Could I read this to you? I'd love to know what you think.
Go on then.
It's called A Flood Victim's Guide to the 10-Part Process for Reclaiming Costs from Your Insurance Provider. Oh, it needs a shorter title, of course. Now that the flood has run, the damage done, that night is history, Your frozen peas and photographs are floating in the sea. An evacuee on someone's sofa, you sit and count the cost. Make the list of all the lists for reclaiming what you lost. What did I own? What has gone? What has floated away? What still remains of what remains, and what remains okay? Here is the simple system they have given me to follow. And if I can get this done tonight, I'll be back to work tomorrow. List items, throw away items, decide what is contaminated. Find 2 quotations for every item you have stated. Now apply to the council for the resilience grant form. Do not laugh at the word resilience. Do not laugh at the word storm. Wait for form to be accepted, or be told, sorry, I'm afraid, in your circumstances we can't help, no money can be paid. Avoid unknown builders, but find builders that can fit you in. There's one available in Paris and several in Berlin. Visit your damp house daily. Wait for Sparky, plasterer, plumber. Give up winter, give up spring, and then give up your summer. Try to forget the flood, and don't dwell on the sorrow. And if you can get this done tonight, you'll be back to work tomorrow.
Oh. You should send that to Storm Officer. Do you mind if I show it to Julie?
Oh, of course, Keith. My pleasure.
1, 2, 3. Mr. and Mrs. McNamee. Reasons for the flood.
Number 91. They used to take the stones out of the beck. Now they don't, and the stones block it up.
Number 99. The flood came up Main Street last time. This time it came down. Stopping the cocker made the Derwent overflow.
March.
We were evacuated to the junior school. It was a long way and my husband can barely walk. The children had drawn a smiley face and a river onto a paper plate. A river. Do you think we wanted to see a river?
The water in the restaurant lifted a table which just floated out into the street, came to rest, and the glasses were still in place on the table.
The water came up 13 foot, took out all our ground floor doors, windows and the ceilings. After 4 days the army came, squaddies, about 20 of them. In a quarter of an hour there were young men crying and giving me hugs.
Cars and vans came full of Muslim youths from Sheffield, Dewsbury, Liverpool, Bradford. They came for several days, brought shovels, food bags, cleaning materials. The mud was 3 feet deep all round the house. They took away over 200 bags of gravel.
They did. Although most of the work was us. But they were kind. I'd never met Muslims before and they seemed all right. Oh, is that your little girl? What's her name?
Abigail.
Abigail? Like one of them storm names? Why do we choose storm names? Are we making gods? What's your big theory, mister?
Maybe. It is the bigger picture, Julie.
Well, this is the picture that I'm interested in. We need to move back in. Have you rung the insurers? Oh, you haven't, have you? Were you even listening to those things that I sent you? Oh, and Anne's got a poem for you. No.
Ah, here it is. Here it is. Look. Keith has to attend the claims department. The items will pass him by on a conveyor belt. And then you can claim for all the goods that he can remember.
Right.
Come on, Keith. I've got this. Come on.
Remember, you saw them all.
I've seen them all, love.
Just remember as much as you can.
I'll remember it. Don't you worry. I've got this, dear. Yeah, that's right. I've got them all up here, love. Don't you worry about that. Right, ready. 1 VW camper manual. 2 fishing rods. 3 cans of corned beef, 4 large bags of Doritos, 5 pairs of woolen socks, 6 tins of fishing bait, 7, what was 7? Seven cans of John Smith bitter. Oh, yes.
Oi, Keith!
What?
Well, that's all your stuff. What about cooker and TV?
Oh, sorry, love. Nearly done. Thank the Lord. I'll get to see my little Abigail soon. 1740, Belper. Terrible thunder. And it rained very well, to the great confusion of all wizards and badgers. Everyone thinks it's the end. John Milton thought it was the terminal cooling of the world. Well, it was the meteors that confused them. Oh. Just check this, and I can get out of here.
I go to my sister now to get my washing done. I'm really happy. Since the floods, I'm in a regular routine of seeing my family more.
We didn't get flooded. I'm so glad, what with the baby and all. Imagine if we'd been flooded with a 3-week-old baby in the house. I mean, we've got a small leak in our roof and that's a nightmare.
We all say to each other, "Are you back in yet?" The other day my mate said, "Are you ready for the next one?" I couldn't believe it. I just sat there and giggled. I got hysterical.
It's my friend Janice I feel for. She's taken out divorce proceedings against David, and now she's sleeping on the couch in David's new flat. Can you imagine?
I was away. My son was here, and he has OCD with cleanliness. Imagine that, with all the dirt and the mud. He completely flipped. He's in hospital now.
I came to say ta for sorting the insurance. You all right? You look as if you've had a funny turn.
I've just been listening to your community speaks.
Ah, it was real, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. It made me think of Abigail.
Abigail. Well, that's it. If it's close to you, it's real. Well, Abigail's real. The flood was real for us.
Yeah.
Well, you best get home to your Abigail. The Diary of Mary Elizabeth King. 31st of January 1953. I'm listening tonight to the wind. It is roaring like the billows of the ocean. I'm never afraid of the elements in nature, but I always like to be quiet and think of its wonders and how frail we are in a storm. Think of its wonders and how frail we are in a storm.
It's the smell of gone-off, faintly sewage-smelling plaster.
I used to think, just tell it how it is, but that gets it stuck in your head, Keith. Hey, it's good, your poetry. You might have to give up fishing, love.
No way! Anyway, it was your idea, and Anne's. Even storm officers. That conveyor belt. I thought all bird tables and settees and fridges. And does any of it really matter?
So what would we keep the milk in, Keith? But I know what you mean. Hey, I saw a storm officer today. Almost human. He's off back to his baby. But let's send him your poem as our farewell present.
What?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, all right. Right. Should I do it in my poetry voice or my own?
We'll just see what comes out, Keith. Right. Recording.
To our friend, the storm officer. You will never really get it if you haven't smelt the damp. It seethes into your bones, should not be in our homes. Musty and fusty
on your face. The sour smell from hell. It crawls out of the walls and permeates the place. Like a world without sun, where the dark has just begun. From our latest flood disaster, It's the smell of gone-off, wet fermented, faintly sewage-smelling plaster. You will never really get it if you haven't smelt the damp.
Oh, Keith. It's strange to be leaving. Still have to go the long way round.
There seems to be a road on the map, a place we can go on the map. But when we try and drive there, we do not arrive there. So now we all call it the Gap. Come on,
So now we all call it the Gap.
we see Keswick shine in the sun.
Oh, it's just lovely.
Think let's go get our shopping done. But our life's been rearranged and everything's changed because we've lost some of the A591.
It's just a big hole. Lost some of the A591.
Saw us on TV one day,
One day,
the trunk road that just washed away.
away.
Watch for a minute, or 6 months later we're still in it. 'Cause we're the ones who still have to pay.
Too right, because we're the ones who still have to pay. Take it away, Julie. Oh, she's good, isn't she? Julie on recorder, everyone. 'Cause every day we have to mind the Gap. 'Cause every day we have to mind the
Come on
Gap.
then, join in.
'Cause every day we have to mind the Gap.
That's it.
'Cause every day we have to mind the
You're
Gap.
doing great.
'Cause every day we have to mind the Gap.
Every day we have to mind the. Every single day we just have to.
It's all right, love. Every day we have to mind the Gap. June.
We're still just getting through and getting ready for the next one. We're going to live upstairs mostly. And no, we can't leave the area. It's our life. We'll just have garden furniture downstairs. We'll line the walls with bubble wrap underneath the plaster. It took 6 weeks to get the sound of the roaring out my ears. Keith says,
If you tile the floor downstairs, you can just power wash it. Always keep a chicken in the freezer. Don't spend too much on the garden.
Storm Timothy, Storm Aldrich the Cheeseman, Storm Vampirella, Storm Wigberg, wife of Oswald, Storm Xanthippus, Storm Yogi Bear, Storm Zebedee. Thank you. And now on from unlikely names for storms and hurricanes, on to my last poem, which came out of one of our workshops, so many thanks to Julie and to Keith, who both helped with this one. It's called How to Weather a Storm. Don't dither. Throw down the sandbags. Don't cry. Learn to worry less about what's on the other side. Get advice from your grandmother. Learn from storms, my boy, they are sacred. Embrace the wild weather. Tango in the rain, naked. Pray to the storm god. Listen to the weather forecast. Hide in the lighthouse. Strap yourself to the mast. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. And now, for my one and only Julie, who has written something I don't think she would have written in January. Go on, love.
Rain, we are...
Poetry voice, love. You should.
Rain, we have come to sing for you, for we cannot live just by the sun. We have to cheer you and not to fear you, for without you we are undone. So rain down our backs, we love you. even though you are sometimes a pain. Without you, we are nothing, and we are only glad to be a moment in the history of rain.
To be a moment in the history of rain.
And finally, 10:15 p.m.
Jolly Jill and Prosecco Jane
The town optimism officer.
wind their way to the bar in the Trout Hotel, leaving the open mic behind.
Bloody poetry, eh? Another glass of fizz?
Great idea, girl. What are you doing tomorrow?
Electrician's coming round.
Might be a spark.
Medium or large?
The next morning, Jane reads the Guardian's report on climate change and makes a mental note about the chances of her own job continuing.
Which are optimistic.
The night is starry. The streets are hot.
And the river gurgles like a baby in a timeless town.
So when sun shines, we watch the planes.
And finest grapes hang off the vine.
So let's drink on, and when it rains,
We'll measure rain as pints of wine.
we'll measure rain as pints of wine. We'll measure rain as pints of wine. So let's drink on, and when it rains, we'll measure rain as pints of wine. So let's drink on, and when it rains, we'll measure rain as pints of wine. So let's drink on, and when it rains, we'll measure rain